People ask whether Cusco or Lima is better. That's usually the wrong way to think about it. Most people don't leave a place because of one big problem. They leave because the daily environment slowly wears them down. Light, noise, weather, access, things that barely register on a short visit, but matter a lot once this becomes normal life, month after month. So this video isn't about travel, it's about what changes after the honeymoon phase ends. I'm not ranking cities, I'm describing what daily life actually feels like, so you can decide which environment you could realistically live inside long term. If you're thinking in months or years, not weeks, this channel is built around those kinds of decisions. I spent most of my life living in Canada, a place built around predictability. Systems that generally work. Clear seasons, clear expectations. Living in Peru and spending time in Lima and Cusco pushed me to look beyond cost and scenery and think about something more subtle. How my body and mind reacted to each place over time. I noticed it in small and glamorous things. How long it took me to get out of the door, how much mental energy I spent planning a simple day, how my body felt by late afternoon. These differences are in abstract. They show up in weather, mobility, access, and in how much effort a normal day quietly demands. My time in Cusco was exploratory, not as a tourist, but as someone curious about life beyond short stays. What stood out wasn't just the city itself, but how some foreigners eventually choose not Cusco proper, but the smaller towns nearby. That distinction matters, because Cusco and Lima don't just feel different. They ask different things of you, physically, mentally, and emotionally. Lima is practical. It has infrastructure, hospitals, clinics, specialists. A wide range of services that work reasonably well once you learn how to navigate them. It has social density. It's easier to meet other foreigners who are actually living in Peru, not just passing through. It's easier to stay connected to local life without feeling isolated. And for many people, this matters more than they expect. Lima is Peru's international hub. Domestic flights, flights to North America and the rest of Latin America, connections to Europe. Even if you don't travel often, knowing you can matters. Access reduces anxiety. Lima gives you options. Lima asks for tolerance. Noise is part of daily life, renovations next door, music from shops and neighbors, a street activity that doesn't always follow predictable schedules. Traffic requires patience. Rush hour isn't just inconvenient, it shapes your day. You learn to plan errands around it, or you learn to accept delay as normal. Even simple tasks can feel heavier than expected. Not because they are difficult, but because distance, timing, and congestion quietly add friction. And then there is stimulation. Lima does not demand your attention, but it constantly offers it. Movement, people, events, energy. You can choose when to engage, but the city rarely goes quiet on its own. Lima is often gray, cloudy, muted, especially in winter. Some people generally like this. They find it calming and consistent. Others notice over time that the lack of light slowly flattens their mood. Summers changes the tone. The sun comes out, the city feels lighter, people change. But for most of the year, Lima feels restrained rather than bright. Your nervous system will respond to that, whether you expect it or not. Lima is practical, but it doesn't always feel light. If you're thinking about living in Peru long term, maybe retire here or become a snowbird, this channel is for people who want to understand the trade-offs before they commit. Subscribe if that's the kind of decision you're making. Cusco moves differently. The pace is slower, urgency is lower, even traffic feels less aggressive. The city is visually contained by mountains, green slopes, big skies, clouds moving in and out. For many people, that containment brings calm. It creates focus, a sense of being held by the landscape. There's more mental space, more room to pause, to think, to sit without rushing. Cusco is old, full of history, and still being written into daily life by the people who live there. But that calm isn't free. It comes with fewer backups, more planning, and less instant problem solving. Cusco asks for physical adaptation. There are hills, cobblestone streets, walking becomes unavoidable, especially at first. For some people that feels exhausting early on. For others, it becomes a quiet form of daily exercise. The kind that people promise themselves they'll do, but rarely maintain elsewhere. Altitude affects some people, usually temporarily. Time, hydration, and rest help. Cusco also offers fewer services, less convenience. Life works, but not instantly. You learn where things are over time. Cusco is colder, mornings and nights are chilly. Layers matter, blankets, jackets. The sun suddenly makes you carry everything you put on earlier. The rainy season shapes daily rhythm. Plans pause, then resume. The rain comes intensely and leaves just as quickly. You feel the seasons directly, sometimes all in one day. Geographically, Cusco functions less like a single destination and more like a hub. Some long-term foreigners don't live in Cusco proper. They gravitate toward nearby towns in the Sacred Valley, places like Pisac or Ollantaytambo. Not because they are necessarily picturesque, but because daily life there is quieter, flatter, and more rhythm-based. Fewer crowds, more routine, easier walking, lower altitude. Cusco stays close enough for services and bureaucracy. But daily life happens elsewhere. Cusco isn't just a city. It's a gateway to a different pace of life. If you spend time in both cities or you're considering one seriously, I'd be curious to know what you noticed rather than what you like. What affected your energy, your routine, your patience? That kind of detail helps other people make better decisions. This is where honesty matters. Lima can be difficult for people who are sensitive to gray weather, need regular quiet to reset, or feel overwhelmed by density and constant stimulation. Cusco can be difficult for people who struggle with cold or altitude, need fast and consistent services, or resist physical adaptation. These aren't flaws, they are trade-offs. Lima tends to fit people who value access and convenience, travel often, or want easy exits, and draw energy from movement and variety. Cusco tends to fit people who want nature close by, prefer quieter days, are comfortable planning ahead, and value environment over convenience. One fits the mind, the other fits the nervous system. If you're thinking in years, not seasons, this channel will probably make more sense over time. So the real decision isn't Cusco or Lima. Most people don't ask these questions until they're already tired. The real questions are, where do you recover faster? Where does your body feel better? Where do you feel less tense without trying? Weather shapes mood, access shapes freedom. Geography shapes daily energy. Over time, scenery fades, environment stays. If you want to keep exploring what life in Peru is really like, the trade-offs, the challenges, and the possibilities, I've linked a couple of videos on screen that build on this. Thank you for watching. This is Victor. I'll see you in the next one.